Good morning and welcome to KidNuz. I'm Tori. Today is Thursday, January 7th, 2021. And we begin with the U.S. Congress picking up where it left off. Overnight, just hours after unprecedented chaos in the hallowed halls of the Capitol, lawmakers returned to finish their constitutional responsibility of certifying the 2020 presidential election. Earlier in the day, extremists from a huge crowd of President Trump's supporters overpowered understaffed police, stormed the building, made it as far as the floor of the Senate, and even into the personal office of Speaker Pelosi. Senators and representatives were rushed into lockdown for their safety, but defiantly returned last night to continue the count. An unbowed Vice President Pence opened the second session with a message to those who looted and vandalized. You did not win. Violence never wins. Freedom wins. And to his colleagues, now let's get back to work. And for hours they did. But instead of arguing, Republicans and Democrats celebrated their differences, praised democracy, and as mandated by the Constitution, went about verifying the win of Joe Biden. Just how unprecedented were the events of yesterday? It was the most significant breach of security since August 24th, 1814. That's when invading British troops marched into Washington and set fire to the U.S. Capitol, the White House, which was then known as the President's Mansion, and other local landmarks. Many of the buildings burned to the ground. Only a torrential rainstorm saved the Capitol from complete destruction. Almost lost in the drama of yesterday was the flipping of Georgia. Both Republican senators lost their runoff races, giving the Democrats 2 more seats and, with the tie-breaking vote of soon-to-be Vice President Harris, majority control. The 2 winners also made personal history with their victories. The Reverend Raphael Warnock is the state's first black senator, and his new 33-year-old colleague, Jon Ossoff, will be the youngest member of the Senate when he is sworn into office. If your tastes run more toward reptiles than Republicans and Democrats, here's an election that might interest you. In Massachusetts, State Representative Jack Lewis will file legislation next week to designate the first official state dinosaur. 12 states, plus Washington, D.C., already claim their own Jurassic mascots. On the ballot this time are Podokesaurus haliokensis and Anchisaurus polyzelus, both native to the area, and as the lawmaker put it, 2 of his oldest constituents. Massachusetts residents, as well as anyone with an interest in the Commonwealth, are invited to fill out an online poll to submit their choice. Mr. Lewis says he came up with the idea both to share his own childhood love of dinosaurs and to educate citizens about the political process. That's a wrap, at least for now. After a scheduled holiday shutdown, movie and television production in Hollywood had been on track to resume this week. But as Los Angeles continues to be one of the counties worst hit by COVID, studios and unions are hitting the pause button out of concern for their employees. The entertainment industry has been allowed to proceed as Governor Newsom deemed its workers essential, but with some hospitals nearing 100% capacity, and the county expecting a post-holiday surge on top of a surge, studio bosses are acting proactively. Earlier this week, it was also announced that the Grammy Awards, originally scheduled to roll out its red carpet later this month, has been rescheduled to March 14th. That's it for KidNuz. Now our KidNuz quiz. A mob of protesters managed to interrupt what constitutional requirement yesterday? Certification of the 2020 presidential election. What award show has postponed its ceremony until March 14th? The Grammy Awards. How did Georgia voters make history in this week's runoff election? By electing the state's first black senator. How many states already have an official state dinosaur? "12 states, as well as Washington, D.C. One Massachusetts lawmaker is working to bring the total to 13. In One for the Road. If recent events in Washington have you feeling the earth is spinning out of control, you're not completely wrong. According to scientists who monitor the Earth's rotation, our planet is spinning faster than it has in the last 50 years. While some amount of fluctuation is expected, in the last 6 months, the 24-hour day has increased by an average of 0.5 milliseconds, enough to mess up the alignment between atomic time and solar time. Now, international timekeepers are debating doing something they've never done before, adding a negative leap second to keep their ultra-accurate time clock in sync. Before we go, we want to recognize our rock star teachers and their students. Ms. Brooks at Kelly Elementary in Wichita, Kansas, Mrs. Benner at Sanborn in Longmont, Colorado, Mrs. Romero at Corona Norco Unified in Corona, California, and Mrs. Lee at the Webb School of Knoxville in Knoxville, Tennessee. Thanks for listening, everyone. It really helps if you rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. We hope you tune in for more Kid News tomorrow morning.